Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a group of college students, who throw a drinking party, and then proceed to go on a complete bender, walking the streets of the city, and handing out beer to everyone they come across. After they descend to the subway level, the controller approaches them in an effort to subdue the rowdy group of men. While the other student is speaking to him, the young guy puts handcuffs on him and secures him to the rail. This news spreads throughout the entire university, and as a result, the superintendent calls a meeting of the faculty to discuss the possibility of banning alcohol, beginning with the upcoming academic year. Martin, one of the instructors at the school, has a student leave his class, which leaves him to question whether or not he has become uninteresting to his students. During dinner, Martin turns to his wife Annika, and poses the same question to her. She claims that he has become a completely different person, not at all similar to the man she had met in the past. At school, a teacher approaches him and informs him that the parents of one of the students want to speak to him. The young person in question is one of his students. Upon entering the classroom, he notices that the student's parents are sitting there. They speak to him in a congenial manner, and point out that he is acting distant, and is not explaining the topics clearly. Martin promises that he will give what they said some thought, and that perhaps they will find a new teacher. Now Martin becomes increasingly insecure about his abilities as a professor. A birthday party is being held for one of Nikolai's instructors, who also happens to be a part-time friend of his. Before he leaves for the party, he makes an effort to speak to his children, who answer his questions with reluctance. Frustrated, Martin says nothing and leaves the house. After that, he visits his colleague and close friend Tommy, who also works at the same school as him, and the three of them eat at a local restaurant. Inside, they find Nikolai and Peter, in addition to a teacher from the nearby school, waiting for them already. Nikolai begins by discussing his life, and how he feels about himself at the age of 40, but he quickly shifts topics to discuss an intriguing theory in psychology, since he teaches the subject. Finskirderud, a scientist once stated that a person needs half a ppm of glucose in the blood, to increase self-confidence. To balance this, a person should drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine every day, and bring their blood alcohol content at 0.05%, it will relax and make them happy. Everyone laughs. After all, the theory is quite amusing, until Nikolai says that it would be extremely useful for Martin. Peter tells Nikolai about his difficulties in the classroom. Everyone begins to offer suggestions on how to make things work, but Nikolai says that's not the point. The others tell him that if Martin has become unhappy and insecure, he should consider trying this theory. The men drink some vodka, which they absolutely adore. Martin agrees to drink some more after they persuade him. The vodka gradually takes effect on him, the music around him brightens, and his friends' conversations fade away. Martin agrees once more when they are served wine. Tears appear in his eyes after he drinks the first glass. A lump of worry emerges gradually. His friends inquire as to how he is doing. He decides to open up about how lonely he is. The men encourage him and remind him of the kind of man he is. Martin was upbeat and ambitious. But what's the matter with him now? Martin's childhood friend Tommy mentions Martin's jazz ballet dancing, and his friends quickly pick up on the theme and begin dancing. They've all had a decent drink by this point, and after the restaurant, they go goof off outside until it gets light. They have a great time, and Martin eventually relaxes. This gives him hope and strength, as well as the prospect of regaining his self-esteem. He decides to test the theory they discussed the day before, by bringing vodka to school. After a few sips, he starts to smile, greets the teacher in the hallway, and quickly captures the attention of the children who would normally ignore him. On his way out, he runs into Nikolai, who drops him off and suggests that the 4 of them begin an experiment together. And it's not just an experiment, it's a research project. They will only drink during office hours, and will keep track of the changes. Martin drinks again before class, and this time the class is even better than the last. The kids are interested in him. Everything changes at Peter's as well. His teaching method becomes more interesting and successful, and the students begin to sing cleaner and with more soul. They meet in the teacher's lounge after class to discuss the preliminary results. Everyone is overjoyed. While the children are at school, Martin and his wife enjoy a glass of wine in the evening. After the talk, he manages to mend his relationship with Annika somewhat. Tommy's first problem arises when his bottles, which were hidden in the gym, are discovered by accident. The friends get together to talk about how their experiment is going. Everyone is still pleased with what they are receiving, so they decide to make individual doses of alcohol for everyone, because Martin wishes to increase it. Martin starts his new day with an alcoholic cocktail and Tchaikovsky music. He doubles his dose and goes to his office, and the class goes swimmingly. Sometimes the students even shout for joy at his words. Nikolai notices this and inquires about his alcohol consumption. He decides to raise his own level as well. Tommy's friends attend his class. Everyone in his class makes fun of one of the guys who wear glasses. Tommy assists the kid, and he scores a goal. Is their experiment really working? They themselves play soccer after school. As they talk about life and career, Peter worries that the students will forget them as soon as they walk out the door. The next day, Peter notices Sebastian, one of the students, sitting with a sad expression on his face, after everyone has left the classroom. Peter tries to talk to the young man about life, and believes Sebastian is depressed because of a girl. However, Sebastian is concerned that he will fail the exam, and Peter suggests an idea. Can you figure out what it is? Yes, a drink before the exams, but he assures him that it will remain between them. The weekend has arrived. Martin, Annika and their children enjoy themselves in the woods, smiling and laughing. Martin warmly hugs his wife late at night, and she begins to cry because she has missed him and their love, which has gone somewhere hidden over the years. The friends meet at Nikolai's house to talk about their experiment. Nikolai has obtained research on the dangers of alcohol, but he also suggests increasing the dosage in order to become completely drunk and experience liberating effects. Martin wishes to leave, because he is improving and on the mend. He watches his friends get drunk, then gets dressed and heads home. But his burgeoning alcoholism kicks in, and he remains and drinks a cocktail. They continue to drink while listening to music. A few minutes later, they're dancing the night away, drinking and drinking some more. The friends run errands to the store, but their physical condition is deplorable. They go to a bar and order more alcohol. They can hardly stand it anymore, but they continue to drink. They are so drunk that Peter walks around in his underwear. They make it to their respective homes, and Nikolai crawls to his bed and dips his pants. Even though it is morning, he is still drunk. On the other hand, Martin awakens on the street with a broken brow. His son carries him home. Annika notices this and expresses her surprise and disappointment. She requests that Martin explain what happened to the children. The children are already aware that he drinks constantly. Annika is unable to hear it and sends the children to their rooms. She claims to have not seen him in a long time, and that he is fine with others but not with her. In response, he asks if she loves someone else. And she admits that she can't be waiting for him all the time, implying that she is someone. Martin gets enraged, throws everything off the table, and walks away. He and his friends get drunk again, and decide to call it quits on this crazy experiment. They have suffered the full consequences of alcoholism, and have arrived at the catharsis. They stop drinking during the day, with the exception of Tommy. After the Christmas break, the teachers are gathered at school and informed that some of the teachers are drinking during the lessons. Ironically, Tommy shows up to this meeting drunk. This marks the end of his career as a teacher. Martin brings him back to his house, and makes an effort to care for him there. He does his best to dissuade Tommy from having alcohol, whenever he notices that Tommy is reaching for a drink. In the end, he asserts that he is capable of taking care of himself, and that his friends are not required to visit his home in order to monitor him. He cautions Martin not to become discouraged, but at the same time, he makes a casual comment about how aimless everything appears to be. It appears that alcoholism is endangering him, and the so-called catharsis has not been able to assist him in any way, but rather has had the opposite effect. Martin extends an invitation to Annika to join him for dinner, in the hopes of winning back his wife. He apologizes to her and expresses his undying love for her. But despite this, Annika is unable to be with him, and she leaves. Martin approaches his class looking discouraged, and finds it difficult to articulate his thoughts. One of the students, however, who had disliked him from the start, tried to cheer him up, by saying that he was a good teacher, and that since they had passed the whole program with him, they would do well on the exams. Peter provides assistance to Sebastian during the exam. Sebastian is very anxious and cannot remember any of the material. Peter asks him to take sips from the bottle whenever he feels nervous, and also offers him a drink before the exam. He also brings a bottle of alcohol with him to the exam. The test is a success for Sebastian in the end. Martin's students also performed well on tests, just as their proud parents had hoped. At this point, Tommy gets drunk, boards a motorboat, and sets sail in the opposite direction, out on the ocean. Nikolai approaches Martin and whispers something in his ear, while the two are participating in the graduation sing-alongs. It seems to have something to do with Tommy. Martin takes a seat on the bench and attempts to process everything that has just taken place. The so-called alcoholic catharsis of his childhood friend ended with him drowning himself. Attendees at his funeral in the church include friends and the students. Martin gets together with his friends to drink beer and talk about their business, before heading to Casper's birthday party. Martin is completely speechless, despite the fact that everything is going swimmingly for everyone else. Their former students are seen driving by the restaurant, as Martin checks his phone for messages from his wife. The fact that she still has faith in their marriage, and is willing to give them a second chance, is something that has made him very happy. The group of friends visits the graduates, who invite them in for a drink. Martin gives in and agrees to dance when Peter asks him to do so. He still consumes alcohol and dances the way he did when he was younger. Everyone celebrates with him by spraying him with champagne, and giving him a shout out. At the conclusion of the dance, he makes a leap into the water, off the harbor. After all, Tommy advised him not to allow himself to become discouraged, under any circumstances. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.